Alright, this is the death of Stephen Hawkman, issue number 3. And I have decided that I'm going to try and get into the solo Stephen Hawkman comics. And really, there is no better starting point than issue 3 of a mini-series that promises the character's death. Before we jump in, let's look at the credits down here. First up is the writer, Andrew K.O. He is a far-left nutjob on the Twitter machine. I'm sure I have seen some of his tweets before, but all these far-left loonies, they tend to blur into one. So I'm not really sure what degree of mental this writer is, but I tell you what, the artist is good. He's really good at drawing things. And despite this being called the death of Stephen Hawkman, this is more of a double feature. This is like the book's co-star. This is Stephen Strange. And this issue actually features him a lot more than Stephen Hawkman. I do quite like this opening scene here. We've got Stephen Hawkman, he's killing a guard in the background. And Stephen Strange, he's uncomfortable about that. He doesn't really like having to resort to killing people. It's a nice little scene, a good introduction to these two characters. But yeah, this book, it does tend to favour Stephen Strange as a character, more so than Stephen Hawkman. We really delve into this character and his motivations in this story. And I'm going to assume that this is mostly the fault of me for reading issue 3 rather than issue 1. And as a whole, this mini-series, well, this stuff, I'm imagining, won't stand out as being odd. It could just be that this issue happens to be the one that elects to focus on him, and the other 5 are all Stephen Hawkman. There is Stephen Hawkman, and he is naked. And then there's some kind of stupid, goofy humour about the size of his penis and stuff. I don't know if this death of Stephen Hawkman is literal and he really dies. He properly dies at the end. Or if it is just metaphorical, if it is a cheat and he symbolically dies, like he burns his wings or something. Either way, he is definitely not dead in current comics. He is alive and currently starring in an awful comic that is definitely gonna be cancelled very, very soon. We've got this pretty woman here though, really pretty. What's interesting is this is like an attractive version of Captain Marbles, the shit one, Brie Larson's. She's really pretty. Just goes to show that Captain Marbles doesn't have to be a dog. Got subplot here with a strong, independent black woman who don't need no man, except she used to gang out with Stephen Strange, so maybe she does actually need a man. What I loved about this comic though was getting to this page and finding out Desperado is in the story. He is one of my favouriteest Justice League villains. Really good villain, really good character. I tend to like more stories with him in, just not the stuff in the 90s written by Martin Quaid, where for some reason they tried to make him a hero and he was running around with massive guns. We've got the attractive Captain Marbles, the shit one, Brie Larson's there. And there's the Hawkman people from the Hawkman planet. And then some subplot here with sideburns. Because every comic has got to have this lame duck of a character in. DC went really hard on forcing him into some relevance. Then we have got some action. And this is the only action in the comic really. And it's pretty decent. I have got a pretty simple rule with Stephen Hawkman comics. Well, 2 rules actually. The first rule is I didn't want the comic to retcon Stephen Hawkman into having apparently killed a trillion people across the galaxy. And the second rule is I just want to see him twat people in the head with his mace. So the Hawkman people, they're attacking Stephen Hawkman and Stephen Strange. They are wanting to arrest Stephen Hawkman for summit. This comic, honestly, it could have done with a recap page at the start, like a previously on section. But here he is, right there, twatting someone in the head with his mace, so I am pleased. And then we start to focus on Desperado. Desperado, he goes back to his own planet and he kills, like, the president. And then he becomes the new ruler of the planet. And you just know he's going to be up to no good, didn't you? Like, he's going to get all his subjects, his new underlings, to do all sorts of dodgy stuff, like misgender someone or spoil the end of the new Avengers film. I think one of the most odd things about this comic is how it ends. It doesn't have like a big cliffhanger. It doesn't have a lot of action happen. It's just kind of like a muted ending. It doesn't end with the characters in dire straits or out. It just kind of ends mid-story. It's really weird. This is alright though. I'm sure it is better if you've actually read issues 1 or 2. But there's still some stuff to appreciate in this. The art is good, and with these old Stephen Hawkman comics that I'm looking at, I'm going to rate them against his current ongoing, which is definitely going to be cancelled very, very, very soon. This is better than that, because that is an overrated pile of shite. I rate this one 7 thumbs up.